Good morning, kid. We're on Psalm 10. And this psalm is referred to in your book as a psalm that describes the practical atheist. It says the practical atheist is not a person, however, who carries a member of the atheist club. So he's not a full-on atheist. When asked if the God exists, he would say, of course God exists. I believe in God. But in the daily outworking of his life, God has no role to play in how this person lives. He acts and reacts and thinks as if God doesn't exist. There's no room for God anywhere in the practical atheist existence. Unfortunately, that title describes a large part of the modern society. Poll after poll reveals that more than 90% of American population believe that God exists. Only a small percentage, however, would be willing to give up everything for their religious convictions. God is real, he just doesn't matter to most people. God's people, in contrast, are willing to trust God and to follow him, even if everything collapses around him. So this psalm describes that because David is asking, why do cruel people seem to get away with the evil they do? It says, most cruel people may think that God doesn't notice or doesn't care, but ultimately they will answer to him. Justice will be measured out fully. So the Lord does repay people for, it says in the scriptures when you read it, that God's going to come back, and Jesus, when he returns, he's going to judge the nations for the wicked things they do, but then also people will face judgment for what they did to other people here on earth. People may think they're getting away with it, but they're not. It's in Psalm 10, it says, it's written by David. It says, "O Lord, why do you stand so far away? Why do you hide when I am in trouble? The wicked arrogantly hunt down the poor. Let them be caught in the evil they plan for others, for they brag about their evil desires. They praise the greedy and curse the Lord. The wicked are too proud to seek God. They seem to think that God is dead. Yet they succeed in everything they do. They do not see your punishment awaiting them. They sneer at all of their enemies. They think, oh, nothing bad is ever going to happen to us. We will be free of trouble forever. Their mouths are full of cursing, lies, and threats. Trouble and evil are on the tips of their tongues. They lurk in ambush in the villages, waiting to murder innocent people. They're always watching for helpless victims. Like lions crouching and hiding, they wait to pounce on their helpless. Like hunters, they capture the helpless and drag them away in nets. Their helpless victims are crushed. They fall beneath the strength of the wicked. The wicked think, oh, God isn't watching us. He has closed his eyes and won't even see what we do. Then David says, arise, O Lord, punish the wicked, O God. Do not ignore the helpless. Why do the wicked get away with despising God? They think God is never going to call us to account. But you see the trouble and grief they cause. You take note of it and punish them. The helpless put their trust in you. You defend the orphans. The Lord is king forever and ever. The godless nations will vanish from the land. Lord, you know the hopes of the helpless. Surely you will hear their cries and comfort them. You will bring justice to the orphans and the oppressed, so mere people can no longer terrify them. So Psalm 10 is good to remember that even though it seems in the world and society that evil is winning, it's not. When Jesus comes back, he's going to set up his kingdom here after the millennial period, and he's going to rule and reign in justice. And the nations that came against and did evil are going to be destroyed, and people too are going to be separated between those that believe and those that did not believe. And everybody will be judged according to what they did. We as believers, our judgment is not whether we go to hell or whether we go to heaven. We've already been saved by Jesus and what he did for us on the cross, because we're not saved by our works, we're saved by grace. Our judge will be like, what did you do? What works did you do that were of good, that you had good motives to do them? You weren't doing it to recognize for yourself and bring glory to yourself. You did it to glorify the Lord. That will be our white throne judgment. The non-believer has a different judgment, and that is they will be judged for the evil and the horror that they did to people because they don't have the covering of Jesus over them. So anyway, that's Psalm 10. I love you. I pray that you have a blessed day and that you will always seek the Lord. And remember, when you see the wicked happen, that you don't think that God is not watching or God's not looking. That's why it's important to read your scripture, because in the scriptures, from beginning to end, it talks about how God and Jesus feel about the wicked. And eventually, righteousness and justice will prevail. All right? I love you. Talk to you later. Bye.